Okay. Getting started. Those are nice. So tomorrow at noon Eastern time, I got a great show coming down. This is how this one's coming out. Pretty nice. I got a great show with a guest who goes by the name White Student Transmission. And he has put out a book on Kindle. I'm sure you can get the hardcover. I got the Kindle version. Anyway, he's coming on the show to talk about his new book. I actually did the cover art for the book. And it's essentially about how language is used in the school system for anti-white agenda. It's really, really thorough and quite brilliant. And the book's done very nicely. It's well put together. There are sort of like short comic strips and graphics throughout that kind of explain or illustrate the ideas as well. And it just breaks everything down, like all of the bullshit, critical race theory, Marxist garbage. Kind of unravels that. It's really an important resource for teachers and parents and anybody in the white identity movement. I would really pretty much say it should be required reading for any educator and parent of well, not even just white kids. I think this is a significant thing that affects everybody. Why I say that is because if white people are replaced in their own countries, they're no longer white countries. And all of those hordes of parasites that come to our countries legally or even illegally that are not from white countries will suddenly lose the benefit of everything that they came here for. And it's unfair to call them all parasites, but we're at a place where we're well past the red zone. And it's very dangerous. So before 1965, of course, we got a commercial. Anyway, before the Hart-Sellner Act of 1965, which threw the floodgates open for immigration, whites were somewhere around above 90% of the population, and that that new immigration policy was the beginning of a decades-long agenda to destroy America, and now we're seeing the culmination of it. And I'm okay with people scratching their heads and calling me a conspiracy theorist or any of that shit. The data speaks for itself. So anyway, the book is quite good, well written. It's just really nicely put together. And he's coming on the show. He and I have actually been, since I did the cover art for him a long time ago, we've been talking about him coming on my channel for a long time. And it's just been one stupid reason after another to postpone or cancel, and we'll do it later, and da 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 da. And I'm just like, It gets frustrating when you have a plan to do something and shit keeps popping up somehow or other. Whatever, I suppose that's life. But so finally, we're doing it. And but what's more than that is that once I finally bought the Kindle version of his book and started looking at it, I realized there's no way to cover all this in one show. We've got to do, a couple shows. And let's get really thoroughly into the content of the book. And let's reveal to the public how things are run, how they work. Let's get under the hood of critical race theory, diversity, inclusion, equity, all that Marxist claptrap, and let people see what's going on. And naturally, I'm trying to help him with marketing and whatever, selling the book, but it's because it's the mission, right? It's about taking back our countries, our homelands. Somebody put it recently that the person said, I'm not mad at our enemies, I'm mad at our people for falling for the bullshit of our enemies. And that kind of hurts to hear that. It's like, damn, and it made me sort of turn around and look back at our people. And my reason, I don't know, my explanation for that is because when we were a majority in our own countries, we didn't have to worry about this kind of shit. We had our own culture, we had our own value system. We were sort of high trust society is what it's called. We are our own in-group. And when you come from the same culture, history, heritage, religion, all of those things, there's nothing to sort of fear. There's nothing to watch out for. But when, they come into our worlds, our countries, and pretend to be us, and then they slowly subvert all of our institutions. They slowly infiltrate all of our institutions, our media, TV, movies, governments, medicine, da 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 da. Then you're gonna have, you're gonna trick people into thinking this or that and the other thing. And a lot of it has to do with destroying the family unit. My personal view is that feminism is one of the primary driving forces behind the I don't want to say death of the West. I hate it when people say that. The West is not fucking dead. You shouldn't talk like that. It's very negative. But the decay of the West, let's put it that way. We're sick, but we're not dead. You know what I'm saying? So, the understanding of the feminine psychology and how to weaponize it against men is got to be one of the most insidious forms of cultural warfare. It's all of the women who created feminism that are behind it are Jewish, every fucking one. And of course, you get they target women who are kind of ugly and disgruntled, or something bad happened to them, or many bad things happened to them in their life, or something. And you weaponize these women. You give them jobs. You give them, write a book, and here's a college professor job, and now yada yada yada, all that stuff that we already pretty much know. I'm gonna check the chat real fast here. We got Cheese Rat in the house. Ooh, Cheese Rat, good to have you. Jay Lewis is here. What's up? Chad Love, good evening, everyone. Big Hair Tsunami, Donald, what Donald, thank you for hosting Jeff. Okay, this is more on a serious note. Thank you for hosting Jeff's WAC Memorial. I'm just going to turn the music down a hair here. The other night. Brought together a lot of people I had not seen in ages. Appreciate all you have contributed over the last 5+ years. That means a lot to me, man. I appreciate you saying that. I went through my own traumas in the past couple years. I think starting with the election being stolen, there were, the coup and all that, da 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 da. My mom died. I actually got sick. I haven't really talked to people about it. I'm fine now, so there's no point in going back and talking about it. But it's just, the movement suffered a lot, and I kind of fell away and fell out of things. And now I'm coming back with a vengeance. Cueing the music there for extra drama effect, Anyway, on a serious note, though, I appreciate your words, and it had to be done. And I'm the guy that's like, I don't wait for people to give me permission or, blah blah blah. I see something needs to get done and I do it. And the level of sort of seriousness and tragedy of this event is so huge that it's very hard. And I would think that, like, most people would shy away from doing what I did, like having a memorial show for Jeff, just because the pain, the grief and the pain, and even the shock of it, but it absolutely had to be done. It absolutely had to be done. Of course, there's the angle that, we're trying to promote the fundraiser for Hyrith and their baby. And that I feel was extremely successful. So I'm, very grateful to, of course, to everybody there. But it's more than, I don't know how to put this, like, I think it's just plainly obvious that this event is bringing the White Art Collective community back together, and it's forging a new path, a new road, new energy for us to move forward. Many people are asking, well, what's going to become of the White Art Collective? And, Jeff essentially created a group called the Pillar Artists Group. And that is basically, all of the founding members, the people who have been around since the beginning and who have created their own shows and or had shows on the White Art Collective within that network. And so, we're talking about it. I'm in a sense, I'm kind of trying to lead on the conversation because I feel like, this is the time to, like, get into this topic, this question, and do something. People are looking for direction. They're looking for leadership. But, us being artists, it's like not everybody agrees all the time, yada, yada. I'm kind of being advised to, like, let it rest a little bit, like, let people sort of go through their grieving. I don't see it that way. I feel like, no, we have to move now. Like, we need to step up, and that's my approach. I'm not, I'm not like the boss. There's no boss. I think the bottom line of it is just very simply that we are a community, So Jeff had his own vision, and he did a huge amount of work, crazy huge amount of work on the topic of, monetizing, this and that, creating CDs, creating products, reaching out, doing shows on like many platforms. I mean, the man was just a machine. He did so much, and it was his personal vision in a sense, to create a kind of, I guess a business and a culture, for the White Art Collective and all the artists. And he did that quite well for a good while. And then at some point, there was, again, like, the cultural, political climate changed with the election being stolen, etc. And Jeff had the baby, and he was working on a film. And all of us just seemed to kind of break away into our own projects. In my case, I was mourning the death of my mother and coping with, like, very, very, very hard personal problems that I just was not mentally there. I couldn't, pull it together. I needed time off. I just kind of put it that way. And it's, I guess, funny looking at this character while I'm talking about these things. Damn, I can't get the right fucking pen. Hold on a second. What happens with these pens is they dry out gradually. And like, you don't know which one. You have to have, like, little categories of which ones are dry. Anyway, I'm sorry. Back to the topic. So, where am I going? We're in this situation. People want culture. They want a kind of a place to come and be around each other and, have a sense of a place to be where everybody already gets it. We're already there mentally. We all know the politics. We all know the history. We know who's the enemy, who's colluding with the enemy, on and on and on. All of these things. So, like, we don't need all that explained to us. We did the fucking research, and we had the courage to stand up for ourselves, our people, our cause. Because a lot of people, they know what's going on, but they're not. They just don't have the courage to stand up for it. So it's a thing. Anyway, where we're at right now is that essentially I'm going to be starting a regular show starting tomorrow. Jayla Dark has her group, which is the I gotta have to get, like, a channel that doesn't have commercials, so I'm gonna need a minute to get that squared in a second. But she's got the monthly White Art Challenge. She's starting an auction, and, like, that's another very cool thing. I think that there's just a huge amounts of stuff that we could be doing, and it always boils down to, like, well, who's got the time? And I'm like, well, if you're committed to your art and what it is you're doing here, within this community of the White Art Collective, then go for it. You know what I mean? And that's what I'm doing. Not everybody can. People are at different phases in their life for whatever reason. They got new jobs, new relationships, various priorities, something. And I can't, like, sort of speak for everybody. You know what I'm saying? The point of it is that we of the founding members, I think, need to provide a platform. We need to provide shows like what I do on my channel, what Jayla Dark is doing, etc., where people can come and hang out with each other, see what's going on, with the culture of what's going on, check out new music, new art, respond to whatever's happening, So at the moment, what I can say is that's what's up, that's what's coming, or that's what's going to continue, and it'll grow. So that's essentially what I have to say about that. There's been some discussion of becoming more formalized, having, like, what do you say, like, Well, I'll just like throw something out. For example, like I've thought that it would be very cool if we could create, like say a quarterly book that features the new art of, say, the monthly challenge, or other people involved that are doing stuff. Um, Actually, having this discussion with Nullis last night, he had I don't know if it was Nullis or I can't remember. It could have been Luke Mason, but they were saying, like, creating a radio channel for White Art Collective music. And with today's technology, such things can be done. So essentially, what it would amount to is that, I'm sorry, I'm gonna go back out a little bit here. Anyway, I'm just kind of meandering around here with these thoughts and stuff. Let me read the comments here. See if I can get back to this. I see you coming back with a vengeance. Great to see it happening. You understand a lot that others don't see. And I have not even begun to really, play my cards on this. So, like, there's a lot of good stuff coming down the line. Your explanation is exactly what happened. Everyone needed to branch out and do their own things. Jeff even said so. Ebb and tide of life. True. Yeah, that's well done. We did. There was some. I don't know how to say it. Like the glory days or something of the beginning of the White Art Collective was just such a blast, and we kind of went down memory lane with that last night, which was really wonderful. And excuse me, I feel like we should build on that energy. It's like, we're not going to go to the past, but there's no reason we can't plan the future. You know what I'm saying? Like, come up with the next thing, So my show, my regular show, my new show, starting tomorrow. You know what? Before I get into that, I'm going to put on a channel where I don't have to stop every 10 seconds to blah de blah. Give me a minute here. Okay, this hopefully will be better. Let's hope. So, and I've mentioned it on some other shows. Essentially, it's about. It'll be Paul from Patriot Arts Community and I, and we're going to be doing live art. The screen will be his screen and my screen, and then we'll have themes that we're gonna, do art on. My personal thinking right now is that I want to do a portrait of General Robert E. Lee, with the recent news of how the Black History or BLM melted down the statue and turned it into a kind of like anti-white fetish event where, like, they I guess they set up chairs and they witnessed it like it was an execution, and they celebrated it. And apparently somebody wasn't supposed to do this. I don't know the exactly the details of, like, if you take down a statue, and then where does it go, and who's in charge of it, and maybe it'll come back out. But I mean, in a sense, it's like public property. These statues can't be cheap to make. That's like so much bronze or what have you. And anyway, it's a kind of a thing in the news right now, and I feel like we need to have a kind of an art war, a sort of a counteroffensive to respond to that. And we should be memeing Robert E. Lee. You know what I'm saying? So I'm going to do something there. And we'll periodically have guests and feature music, and just, in a sense, kind of make a new. It's not the White Art Collective, but make something that people from the White Art Collective will be featured on. Of course, artists from the Patriot Alternative. Sorry, I can't draw and talk at the same fucking time. Patriotic Alternative community will be, featured, etc., etc., etc. So you guys get the general idea. It's just a get back to doing shows. Get back to our culture, our people. I believe I will be auctioning the artwork. My notion is that I'll. I'm thinking that I essentially say, like, if you'd like to buy this piece, it's gonna start off at, say, like, $50 or something, and then email me a price, and whoever has the highest bidding, then shoot me. I'll let you know. Shoot me your address. Send the money to my Venmo. Something. You get the basic idea. So that's a thing. Like I said, Jayla Dark is starting an auction. I like the idea of doing a quarterly book of the monthly Word Art Challenge to feature their work. There's so much good art coming out of that, and people don't really know about it yet. So I'm thinking that would be a thing. How to share the profits, though, among, like, 150 artists? Everybody's gonna get like $1. So I don't know what it's gonna amount to, and then who would be in charge of the logistics of such a thing? You see what I'm saying? Like, everything takes time. Everything takes time and energy. And a lot of us are like, we're artists. We want to work. We want to make our art. We're not sort of the business people that are spending all that time to do that. What we would really love is if someone in the community who does those things could step up. You know what I'm saying? So that might be a whole other kind of project, is to, like, kind of perhaps get a team of developers, marketers, even investors, to get something going. Anyway, so I think you get the idea. Let's see if there's any more comments here. Explain. No, that's good. Okay. Just a little hot here. I gotta take my sweater off. Maybe turn the music up a touch. Yeah. There you go. So, yeah, last night's show really was just, I consider it to be a monument to Jeff. I can't, make a sculpture of bronze to him or something like this, but I can do a show, and I can bring the community together. And, like, for example, Jack White's eulogy statement was so powerful. And then playing his music after that. I think anybody who watches the show, if you don't even know who the White Art Collective is, there's gonna be a few tears there. It's pretty powerful stuff. I think Hira's song at the end really, that totally destroyed me. It's just kind of freaky that the theme of the song, gone but not forgotten. I mean, it's just too weird. Anyway, these are the things that are going on. But yeah, a lot of people reached out to me and were very, very grateful that I did the show. And to me, it's just simply like, it just had to be done. It was, I've had a lot of experience with death in my life, and I know kind of how to handle things in a way, I guess, if you will. So you just gotta swoop in there and like, handle it. You gotta get in there and do the things that have to be done. That's tough. But the beautiful thing in the end really is just like the friendships and the kind of love that we share, with each other and the cause. And that's what's up. We have to keep going. We have to re-up our efforts, I guess, you know. You get the idea. So what I'm doing in the process here is I'm just using like this kind of a marker to do all the really, really fine line work that you're not going to use a brush on that, because brushes they're very bouncy and they have like really up and, you know, like heavy lines, thin lines. I just need mechanical lines at this point. My channel's here. Good to have you here. So yeah, moving on. So I've been super busy. I'm lining up new shows. I'm trying to talk certain guests into coming on. I think there are people that are known in the movement that have kind of been out of it for a while, because a lot of I don't know, there's a lot of channels just kind of went dark for a while. That's just sort of inactive. I'm not I'm not announcing that I'm definitely having them on, because I'm just talking to them and working it out. Philosopher Cat is someone that I'm hoping to have on. Josh Neal is looking pretty good on like we're gonna have him on. Josh Neal is actually doing a show with Tyler Hamilton. I forget, there's some other, it might be Joel Davis, I think, maybe. And they're doing, they do the EBL show. Do you guys know about EBL? It's Tyler Hamilton's channel. Anyway, that's big brain stuff. They're talking about the conservative movement in America, the history of it, like people in history that have had a role in that. Should be those shows are kind of like master's degree courses in white identity history, like the movement, the history of our movement, all those things. So that's good stuff. What else? I know there's some others that I've lined up in November, so we'll see how that goes. The trick with comics is like all these costumes or uniforms that they wear, they have like lots of little details and special design elements. And like you gotta remember every single one in every single panel, and then draw it from whatever angle the camera's at it. So it's when you're enjoying comics, that's part of what's fun and cool about it. When I see things like where Marvel Comics will like, oh, this is the new design for Superboy, and he's just in t-shirt and jeans. Like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, what the fuck are you thinking? Like, of course that's totally stupid. Like, you just took the fun out of it. Like, oh, we're trying to make him more relatable. It's a fucking comic book, shithead. Like, we don't want him to be relatable. He's Superboy. Let him be super. Oh no, we're trying to reach out to a new audience. Shut the fuck up. Do your job. Idiots out there. I'm so tired of this dumb shit. Anyway, that's what Comicsgate's all about, is bringing the fun back to comics. You know what I'm saying? So anyway, there you go. And now you know. I'm going to read some comments here. Family's here. Draw Superman. Hey, there you go. That'd be great for tomorrow's show. Not maybe. So like, let me explain a little bit. So we're sort of hammering out the details of the show, and we're definitely going to do an art theme, but we also want to take requests from people. So like, can you imagine, come to the show and but I'm like, okay, I'm gonna have like 20 people saying like, oh, draw this, draw that, draw this, draw that. And then how do I decide whose request to take? Maybe just do the one that I think is fun, or the one that I'm in the mood to do at the time. Like I could totally jam on a cool Superman sketch. My channel. Hold on, let's see. I'm sorry, I gotta go back and read some comments. Ian Cool Single is here. Welcome. We got a new friend on the channel. Hey guys, great selection of people to have on your stream. Thank you. Philosopher Cat is someone who can bring forth a lot of interesting new thoughts. She's very intelligent, yes. And her and I have a certain thing in common. We're both into esotericism. So that maybe, and I'm even thinking I'd like to do like a whole new playlist of shows just dedicated to esotericism in the extent that I want to do, things on vril meditation, qigong meditation, and kind of the spiritual health of the movement. It's kind of fucked up because I feel a little bit like, well, how are you an expert on that? Like how so I'd have to approach it, with a certain humility, and just be kind of like, okay, there's a documentation of what I'm learning and what I'm doing with my own practices. Anyway, moving on to the statements here, the comments. My channel says I missed it for whatever reason. There's no chat replay. I'm not sure what that refers to. Slots is here. Awesome. Good to have you back, Slots. Thanks for doing that, Jeff. Dedication stream. It's my duty, it's my honor and my duty to do that for the community and for Jeff, and God bless his soul. Big Hair Cement for the WAC Memorial. Yeah, you can see the WAC Memorial. I don't know why, but they don't. I don't know if they do show the chat playback. I think it's just the video. I'm gonna turn this down. Like I'm right next to the phone and I'm yelling over the music. Maybe Donald can activate it unless it was requested for family. Otherwise, again, I don't have any idea how to turn on the chat for that, but excuse me, maybe I can figure it out. My channel says yes, one they just did. Where there is in and out cell signal if I'm not at the farm. Okay. Slot says, like I said elsewhere, Jeff was always more gracious, grateful. At least put something interesting on camera while we're talking here. So, sorry, getting back. Jeff was always more gracious, grateful towards me than I thought I deserved. Wow, such a reverent guy, toward the spark in our people for unity. Appreciative of the smallest love. This is something that came up a lot on the show of what a great guy he was. My channel, the dedication stream. Hippocratic Oaf is here. Welcome, Oaf. Draw something Halloweenish like Conan with his axe buried into Superman's skull. That's a freaking great idea. Oh my God. It would have to be a kryptonite axe, right? See how nerdy I am? All aliens need to go. Yeah, we know Superman is kind of a coded, sort of Jewish esoteric moralization. If you know anything about that. Yeah, I know that's actually an interesting point. Halloweenish would make sense. It's freaking Halloween, right? It's like the show's on Halloween, so I should probably do that, right? I'm all hot and bothered about the melting of the Robert E. Lee statue, and I wanted to do something about that. Maybe I can do that and then do a Halloween request. Because I think that's part of what is fun about the show is that it's taking audience requests. You ever seen that anywhere? I don't think I've seen anybody ever do like an art request show. I could be wrong. I don't know, um, but I've never seen it. And more commercials to ruin my show, so I'm just gonna sing a song. Wow, that's gonna be a big, big hit. The anti-commercial songs. Um, yeah, there were some tough moments to get through last night in the show. Um, Everybody gets choked up at some point, you know. Um, Jack was talking about how hard it was to do that monologue that he sent. Um, he couldn't make the show, you know, so he actually reached out and said, like, for anybody who can't be on the show, send me an audio clip of your commentary, you know, and I'll play it on the show. So I'm very grateful that he did that. And I think what Jack had to say was really something many of us felt. So, and I told him about that today. I was like, you know, he was thanking me for doing the show, and I'm saying, you know, thank you for doing what you did, you know, and preparing that audio, that commentary. Um, Jack he's a very raw guy. He's a very like real guy, you know, and when he talks about things, he talks from his heart, and he doesn't give a fuck what anybody says or thinks. You know, he's like, you know, uh, probably like a great friend and a terrible enemy kind of guy, you know. I love him to death, you know, he's a marvelous human being. Um, and like, you know, what he had to say about Jeff, it was so touching. I'm sure there was like not a dry eye in the house kind of thing, you know. Um, but like he's also very masculine too in his way, you know. He's kind of anyway. Just you can kind of sense what I'm saying. You guys can see the video for yourself. You know. So tomorrow I'm excited. It's going to be a good show. White Student T is on. That'll be at 12 noon tomorrow, Eastern time. And he wrote a book on how to decipher the critical race theory in schools, and all of that. So we're not gonna do the whole book in one show, but we're gonna spread it out and do a couple shows on this topic because it's such a good book. I just got it on Kindle, and I was discussing earlier how I've been meaning to have him on the show for a long time. I did the cover art, and that's kind of how, like, he follows me, sort of a fan, and he spent a lot of time on this book. Like, when people finally get the book and read it, they're gonna see like how high quality it is, and it's just great to see people in our sphere doing stuff, for the cause, and so it's quite good. And anyway, the book needs attention. I love these kind of people like him who take it upon themselves to do things of this nature, to research, all the bullshit that's out there in the system, and then to break it down and explain like how deceptive it is, how it works, and then give that back to the public, where now parents and teachers, etc., can take that book and say, chapter 6, there's a blah 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 on this particular subject, da 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 da, and it arms them against the Marxist insurgency in our school system. And I can tell you, when I went back to school to become an art teacher, like the feminists and all of these type of people, they don't have to hide in that environment. They control that environment. If you don't agree with their politics, they fail you. They fucking fail you. I mean, imagine you're paying for college, and some bitch doesn't like you because you're a white male, and the only good white males are gay in that environment, if because they definitely want to put gays in the classroom. They definitely want to groom children. They want all of that shit. They're all on board with that subversive shit. It's dark. It's just super dark. Anyway, it was. I'm kind of like surprised that I even made it through the system. But at the time I was very like, I knew I hated feminism. I knew that, and I'm like one of like maybe 2 or 3 guys in the entire department that, because it's a it's an art teacher program, and so it's almost exclusively women, and like girls in their 20s, and like 99% of these girls, like, they suck at art. Like, they suck at it. They're like, I want to be special. You know what I'm saying? You're not. I don't know where they get this idea that, like, and I mean that's all part of the whole system. Is like, don't actually teach art to kids. Just validate their pathetic emotions, and draw like Picasso and express yourself. Oh, you're an artist. You should go to college for art. Oh, well, you're not that good. Okay, be an art teacher. And then you can teach other losers that, if you just shit on a canvas, it's art. And so it's this kind of like fucked up system, if you can imagine. And then I go in there and I'm like the fucking king, and like they know it. I'm like, oh yeah, I just got back from Asia, and like here's my paintings. Like, holy shit. Like, you could see like the professors were very threatened by me. But first of all, I'm older, than I'm not some 20-year-old Nothing wrong with being 20. I'm not knocking 20-year-olds, you know, but like they know that they can easily manipulate these young people. You know, they're pretty much right out of high school, or not. You know, you understand what I'm trying to say. Anyway, and then just like, okay, you know, do what I tell you, or I'll threaten you. You know, you can't pass something, da da da. And you know, these young people are very impressionable. They don't have any knowledge about history, communism, all of that shit. They just sort of grow up thinking this is what's normal, you know, like, and they're all trying so hard to be a part of, you know, whatever their professor tells them to think, you know, like, oh yes, ma'am, you know, and then they'll do all kinds of like quasi academic uh, papers and presentations and PowerPoints and this and that and art projects that are about, you know, like equality and taking down the patriarchy, all this, you know, faggotry basically. And I'm in there and I'm like, you know, postmodernism is bullshit, and here's my paper on that. You know, it's like, um, I better call the dean. You know, what are we gonna do with this one? You know, how are we gonna, you know, and I mean, there's a few like secret right wingers in there, you know, that are, you know, whatever. To some extent, these professors knew like we cannot, we can't oppress this guy. He's too smart. He's too worldly. Just try to like not give him a lot of attention. Like, you know, just sort of pretend he's not there. You know, like that. And anyway, and I can remember at one point I had done, you know, I'm closing out the program. I'm getting towards the end of the getting at my certification in teaching art. And there was one of the professors. She's closer to my age, and she was trying to urge me to join her program for my master's degree. In my state and in many states, in order to get a teaching certificate in art, they force you to get a master's degree. It's like, what a fucking scam. You know, it's such a bullshit scam. Oh yeah, just give us even more money, you know. And because you're not there to teach art, you're there to indoctrinate. You know, you're there to like destroy art. To be honest, that's actually really what you're there to do: destroy culture. And if you could, God, if I could try to draw this woman. If you could see her face, she very literally had the face of a witch. Very literally, like this, like kind of weird, stringy, curly hair, this long nose. Um, she had this kind of like she always had like tons of jewelry on her hands, and just like, you know, that's the thing about this type of these type of feminists, is that they're super into jewelry. You know, I don't know, it's just a thing. But kind of sort of a hippie looking girl, but like she was like resting bitch face, you know. And I didn't specifically dislike her. It's just there's a certain vibe that people give, and you're like, I don't know about that one, you know, like this kind of, maybe I'll stay away from her, you know. And I was fortunate throughout the program to not actually have to take any of her classes. Like, I'm not into like fiber arts, you know, or some shit like that. And not that there's anything wrong with fiber arts, but it's a very, very feminine thing, you know. And I'll be honest with you, I think she was attracted to me. I could tell. I was at an awards ceremony because I got a grant while I was in the program, and so I'm at award, and she's kind of, you know, she was sort of liaison, like, I'll, you know, come with me, and I'll, you know, sit with you and blah blah blah, whatever, whatever, and you know, we're having some wine and we're chatting, and it's getting cozy. And then that's when she hit me with like, you should when you have to do your master's degree, you should take my program on X, whatever. I'll be your da da da. And in my head, I'm thinking like, okay, this is a power play. Like, she's kind of cozying up with me and being slightly flirty, and it's like, oh, I'll take care of you, big boy. I'll get you through the program. You know, something something. Of course, she wants the money. She wants to kind of, you know, get more students. To do her job, get her pay. Um, and it was just awkward and weird. It was kind of and I was smart enough to play along, and be like, I got a lot on my plate right now. I'm just focused on this grant and like the project that I'm doing for the grants. Um, Tell me more about your program. Knowing full well I'm not fucking taking it. And letting her. This is what you do. Like you sometimes you have to like distract people and make them think that you're gonna do what it is they want you to do, because they're really just fucking narcissists and like manipulative controllers and stuff. And it's a very common leftist type mentality. Anyway, there's this other girl at the awards ceremony who's fucking gorgeous, and I'm like massively attracted to her. And I'm kind of keeping my eye on her the whole time, because I'm just a dog. Um, anyway, so at one point I'm like, oh, I'm gonna go grab another drink. I'll be back or whatever. But I'm not grabbing a drink. I'm going over to the bar because that super fine girl is over there, and I want to talk to her. And so I go, across, and like, I just started chatting with her. I can say like she's a student as well, so she's an artist. I can tell, and I just am working my my magic on being my natural flirty self, and it's going really nicely. And it's just she's interested in me. I'm interested in her. We're having a really great conversation, and I just happen to look back and I see this that like creepy witchy feminist professor looking at me, and I mean, she's looking right through me, like laser beams burning right through me, like wow. And I kind of look back at her in a sort of a subtle way, as to say, like, fuck you. Your charms don't work on me. Your games don't work on me. I'm not. You cannot control me. And that's what it all kind of boils down to. There's some weird like control agenda going on, and especially against men. Like that's just it's a problem. And a lot of guys were brought up to be like gentlemen and be nice and be good and be Christian and all these nice things, and they fucking use that against you. And like they do. So like until you wake up to the program, you're in trouble. You're a target. You see what I'm saying? So I don't know. That was a little power trip, I guess, on my end a little bit, just a flex like that. Let's get back to the chat here. See what you guys are on to here. Oh, drawing on slots. Sorry, wow, there's a lot of convo going on here. A lot of convo. Jeff was gracious. Dedication stream. Draw something Halloweenish. Yes, we're all aliens that just showed up about 50,000 years ago. Right. That's a big topic. That's a big topic. We won't go there right now, though. Roblox lover. Xin Qiao Cao. I don't. This is Thai, or no, this is Vietnamese. I don't speak Vietnamese, but I do speak Mandarin, somewhat. And I welcome my new friends here, but I have to tell you, this show is not for kids. So if you are into Roblox, I know that that's a popular video game for young people, and this is not a young people channel. So I wish you well, and just just putting it out there. When I do these videos, YouTube has a little button that says, what audience is this for? Is it? And I click not for kids. And I do that every time, but I always get kids in my chat, and I just telling you guys, it's not. This isn't for you. You wanna go find some fun channel, okay? So, but I do, I welcome people of all cultures to the show. So, if you're cool and you're not anti-white, I love having you here. Love having new friends. I lived in Asia for 5 years, so that's another aspect. But again, if you're not anti-white, you're welcome. But if you're under 18, I would say find something more entertaining to do. Oaf says Conan does not like crypto small hats while wenching and drinking. True, Conan's our guy. He's our guy. Slots. Halloween always felt like it was more white than Christmas because Christmas becomes so consumerized. Yeah, I know people who are like big into like, okay, it's a pagan, so like that's a big topic that could be an interesting subject for a show. Get Dave Martell on or somebody who is knowledgeable about those things. Slot says also appropriated by other races. Slot says Jack's segment was too impactful with his music. Yeah, it was very powerful. I teared up too, man, for sure. Tsunami says Jack said everything. I was so lost for words. True. It was very hard. I'll be honest, I flubbed a bit. I was not my normal smooth self. Now I was flubbed again. Because it's just a hard show to talk about. And I kind of stammered a bit, but I feel bad about that. But the show went well. Emotion can bring such people a powerful wisdom when it's wedded with intelligence. Beautifully said. My channel says your drawing reminds me of that Kathleen Kennedy episode of South Park that aired recently. I'd like to see it. If you could maybe shoot it to me in a message somewhere, that'd be fun. Tsunami says this community is amazing. If anyone watching out there it wants to know, we care and take care of our people, birth to death. God bless you. That is well said. Slot says, how do you handle drawing purposefully ugly characters? No offense if you intended the weight. Oh no, she's a massive bitch. She's a very evil bitch in this story. There's she's a really key element to the story, and she's meant to be kind of chunky and loudmouthed and just like you're gonna hate this character, but that's part of what film, TV, comics. You have these type of people to react to, and the other characters respond to her as well. So anyway, how do I draw them? Well, I mean, comics is like a high-end, sophisticated form of cartooning in a way, where you're simplifying things. It's not photorealism. There's a certain spongy, bouncy quality to the characters, the way that they express themselves. Maybe hold on, let me pull this up. Like the expressions are very, and then the angles and such. They're meant to, you know, push the emotion of whatever it is that they're talking about and stuff. You can kind of see like some attitude and shit in their body language and things. It's fun. It's theater. It's essentially what it is. It's theater. Okay, moving on. Slots and possibly self-inflicted disabled. She could be. She's a bad girl. Anyway, moving on. Oaf says Marina Abramovich epitomizes female art. She can just sit at a table across from a guy saying nothing. I've seen that. It's such shit. I guess she's like a pretty high-end satanic priestess as well. The whole thing, like art with blood, and she's deeply, deeply connected with like the elite and all of that, like you know, all that shit. I don't want to go there, but yeah, it's just evil. Slot says not give him attention is more like starve him of oxygen by never letting a word get in. Yeah, regarding me and in school. So I'll give you a funny story about this, and then I'll get back to the chat and stuff. So here's the story. It's kind of like the first day of the first class of a specific course that you have to take to fulfill your requirements. And this is maybe the second year of the art education program. So everybody kind of knows each other, and this is a fun kind of energy because we're all students in this program, and you know we went through a lot to get through the different you know projects we had to do, and vacation's over and we're back and it's time to kick it again. And if you've been to college, you know what I'm talking about. So this particular teacher, I'll tell you, as a teacher, a lot of times the like first day of school or whatever is like a bullshit day. Like they create a class that this is really like just fucking off. Like they know it's the first day, and so they don't put any real effort into like creating an actual lesson, because that's gonna come. It's more like an introduction. Who if they ever do that thing where it's like, okay, we're gonna go around the room, say your name, and tell us why you are in your favorite color, some shit like that, and then okay, the next person has to remember your name and your favorite color, and the next person has to do, and then on, and the last person in the line has to remember everybody's name. Like that's shit you play with like fucking 12-year-olds. You don't do that in college. But that's what I'm telling you about these teachers, is like they're illegitimate. They're fake. So anyway, this woman has her first class is like, oh, I'm going to show you a slideshow of artwork from around the world in different periods in history, and let's see if your knowledge of art history and styles is good enough to place and say like what country and what time period, specifically what country. That was actually the so it was a kind of a game, like okay, and she'd pop up a slide, and it would be like a Gothic portrait of, say, Orthodox saints from a church, and that, and then I would say that's from Russia. It's Orthodox painting. And what I'm trying to say is that every single artwork that she showed, I knew exactly what country it came from, and generally what time period it came out. And no, and I would just like blurt it out, and I'd blurt it out and blurt it out, and to the point where like all the girls in the class, which was like 95%, were like, "Holy shit, how do you know that?" I'm like, "Cause I'm a fucking artist, retard." It's like you're supposed to know this shit. I mean, how can you be in this program and have such little knowledge of art history? Like what the fuck is going on here? Like this is the caliber of our teachers. And I mean, I'm being a little snarky and mean spirited here by saying those things, but is it not true? Come on, is it not true? So I basically put the professor in her place by saying like, you know, I'm your competition. Like I could take your job. I wasn't trying to threaten her, it wasn't, but I was just like, I know this, I know this, I know this, and bang, 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 bang. Anyway, what am I saying this for? Am I bragging? Am I being braggadocious? Donald Kent, braggadocious. I guess if there's anything I can brag about, it would be art. So let's turn off these damn commercials and find some music that doesn't interrupt my show. There's one of these, like, well, I don't know. I'm going to get back to the chat in a second. Hang tight there. I'm going to let this girl wave her finger at you for a little longer. Um, oh, okay. Oh no, that's not it. I'm sorry, guys. I'm gonna have to make a point to get this kind of shit squared off before I start. Maybe some like lo-fi would be cool right now. It's kind of late. Yeah, let's do lo-fi. Lo-fi. Do lo-fi sad songs. How about that to pick up your mood? Okay. Um, at least it doesn't have commercials. That's kind of the point. What I'm going for. Anyway, back to the chat and my channel. Oh hi. Oh, was she seething? Yes, I'm talking about that master's degree teacher. Yeah, slots. Be nice, not nice. Don't say it, aka entertain me. Ulfric's here. Howdy, Don. What are you drawing tonight? Just more of my pages of my story. Um, Once again, like the MAGA force got killed by Judeo-Christian news, and they in order to replace them with a more diversified superhero force that truly represents America. And so you've got all these new characters, and they're getting set up for blah 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 blah, all that stuff. So let's get back to the chat and see how cool you really are. Go to bed, kids. It's a school night. Thank you. I know. Although I think that girl was from like Vietnam, so it's probably morning. But shit, shouldn't you be in school anyway? Ulfric says, absolutely bring Dave Martell back on. You guys go together like peanut butter and jelly. A big buddy of Dave and I are pretty close. I love the guy, and like, yeah, I mean, there's pretty incredible energy there. I'm anxious to do more Bizarre Archives art. I want to do more work with him. I actually did a comic book for him, and I'm trying to think, where is the art? Is it nearby? It's not a whole comic book. It was just a short. I guess I'll let Dave kind of handle that, though. Channel says we'll do like bananas and peanut butter. Who's the banana? I love bananas and peanut butter sandwiches. It's okay. Now you know something about Donald Kent. Some psytrance or jazz, Irish pub music. I've never heard of psytrance. That's new to me. I'll have to look that up, but like I want to kind of get focused here. I appreciate your company. I really do. I would have started streaming a lot earlier, but I had lots of those technical difficulties. Was downloading the book for the show that I'm doing tomorrow, and trying to get it so that, you know how your computer can read a book, you know, and then have that on in the background. So I was trying to set that up, and I think with Kindle books, my computer won't do that for some reason. I don't know why. Maybe it's like, you know, protect the author from somebody just like copying it, you know. I mean, that makes sense, you know. But it pissed me off because I actually asked White Student T, can I play your audiobook while I'm streaming so that people can hear it? Like the other day I did a stream and I played Kai Moros's speech, one of his speeches. He just kind of republished it, I think. Anyway, you can look it up. And, you know, I told Kai, we spoke on email recently, and he's really, really happy that I'm doing that. I'm trying to get his speeches out to more people. But anyway, I couldn't get the tech to work, unfortunately, on the White Student T book. It's okay. Tomorrow we're going to do a show on it. And then we're breaking up that book on critical race theory over a bunch of shows, so that'll be good. Um, oh boy. this music shut me up, didn't it? Finally. Stop talking and get to drawing. What else have we got here? So, I don't know. I kind of made a decision recently to, I don't know how to call it, but to sort of stop being sad, I guess, and stop being mad about things and stuff. There's mountains of things to be mad and sad about in the world, and they're always going to be there. And I'm not trying to come off like some fucking self-help guru bullshit or whatever, but this is just, to an extent, you become like, you burn yourself out with it, you know, like you get like, what is this doing, you know? And I mean, the reality is, it's just, you know, yeah, that shit sucks and it's bad, and I'm justifiably angry about it or something. And why aren't more people angry or something, you know? This is true. But there's a kind of consequence to it, you know. It wears you down in a way, you know. But what in my personal practice, it's also not good for manifestation. It's not good karma. And like manifestation, karma, prayer, all these are just kind of different words for the same sort of thing. I mean, prayer is unique in its own regard. Karma, normally we kind of associate that with the actions that you make in your life. Technically, in Buddhism, karma is thought, action, and speech. It's not just the things you do. It's what you think and what you say. And of course, there's certain chakras that relate to those things as well. But and I get angry and mad and sad or whatever. So it's not like I'm some Zen master or something. But if you consciously make a choice to sort of try not to be, and or to make like compassion more the frequency that you're working on. And compassion can just start with yourself. Like, don't hurt yourself. You know, stop hurting yourself. How am I hurting myself? By the way that you think. That's quite a pill to take right there. You know what I'm saying? You know, that's quite a pill to swallow. You know, like to think like, oh, you mean it's my fault that things are the way that they are? No, it's X, Y, Z. And no, it isn't your fault entirely or whatever, but there is a mental filter, in a sense, that one makes for themselves by the way that they think. And we forget it a lot because we're the star in our own movie. And like everyone's a little bit different. Like some people are all about controlling others. If I could just get control over myself, I'd be enough, you know. But there's this sense of like, if I can make other people a shadow of me, an aspect of me and my narcissistic will, then I'll have control over the world, you know. Or maybe that's just like a perverted fetish of some kind for some people, I don't know. But in the end, you really only have your will, you know, your own willpower. And you can exercise that over yourself, you know. Oh, I got some comments here I need to address. Let's jump on here and see. Well met. That's an interesting phrase. Welcome back, Hollander. Always good to have you around. The intent affects you, the display those around. And that's how prayer can change things. Or maybe I'm typing nonsense on my way to bed, but wanted to peek in at the inking since you're streaming. Thanks, man. Always nice to have you here. Intention. Actually, that's a very, very good point that you're making. What is your intention? And I start the day. What's my intention for today? Like, I always start off with gratitude. I got a second chance at life, and I start off with thanks and gratitude. And it's a very, very powerful karma. It's a very powerful manifestation technique. I mean, it sounds like it's a manifestation technique. Like, no, it's a sincere thankfulness to God. You know? Yeah, it's not some kind of, get rich quick scheme, It's like, you know. But anyway, on a more esoteric level, it sort of supercharges the air around you. Emotions play a huge role in this, in a way. Like, what feelings do you have about? Because your feelings create the energy with which you you charge these intentions and things. So, like, I'm really frustrated with X, so I want Y. And so you're being pushed by your own emotion. So, like, suppressing emotion is good in some cases, but in other cases you want to set it free, or you want to harness that power. And this is an interesting subject that I'm kind of practicing or putting into practice in my life. So much so that you can, how do I say, like, generate emotion for whatever it is that you're manifesting. So, and then if you, I mean, in Qigong, for example, you do this. This is a part of Qigong. And so, once again, like, if I'm trying to create a form of, like, vril meditation, this would be a part of it as well. And what would be the emotion there? Stop white genocide, empower white people, take back our countries. Those are the prayers that we need to be doing in unison, in formula. And like, when I say Qigong, like, people, specifically Christians, are very, like, suspect. They don't like anything outside, which is fine. I'm not criticizing that, but I try to describe it sincerely as rocket fuel for your practice, whatever it is. You think of, like, religions as different types of vehicles, different paths per se. Well, what if I gave you, rocket fuel to put in your car? Would you want that? Would that help? You know what I'm saying? So that's all I'm kind of offering in this regard. However, I work for the white identity movement. So if we're gonna have some kind of collective spiritual effort for our cause, then that's what I'm looking at. That's the kind of thing that I'm interested in developing. So these things fascinate me. I'm very much interested in developing this. I know I'm being slightly vague about it, but that's okay for now. don't know, what time is it right now? It's like 10:30ish, something like that. Hippocratic Oath says, where the Buddhist monks, oh, sorry, uh, were the Buddhist monks with Uncle Adolf at the end more based than the monks ordered to surrender to Mao by the Dalai Lama? Whoa, dude, you just hit a nerve, man. You just hit a nerve. Damn, what a question. Wow. So, I mean, I can answer that question from a Buddhist perspective, if you like. Um, I mean, it's just a neat question in terms of like our movement, right? You know, and our history and these kinds of things. It might shock people to know that German esoteric researchers traveled to Tibet to learn certain things that came down from the Scythians. And the Scythians were kind of, you know, ancient Aryans that left their mark in China, Tibet, India. But, you know, the common person associates Buddhism, Taoism with Asians, as of course they took that into their cultures and developed them. It's well known within Buddhism that the Buddha had blue eyes, for example. What does that tell you? Okay. Buddhism is beyond race. It's far beyond race. It's beyond your physical body, much so. But let's get back to the question. So Buddhism is nonviolent. However, there's a contradiction there because in this world, it's a world of war. It's a world of violence. It's a world of suffering. And, you know, when I went to Shaolin Temple, I asked the Buddhist monk there, what, you know, like, if you're teaching us Buddhism and you're teaching us, you know, nonviolence and these things, how do you justify, like, Kung Fu? We're learning to maim and cripple and kill people with Kung Fu. And it's a contradiction, isn't it? So he says, you know, if Shaolin and Buddhism, etc., did not, well, Shaolin specifically, did not learn martial arts, master martial arts, then Buddhism would have been lost in history. It would have been destroyed. So if you think about all the countries that Islam invaded and destroyed, all the religious books they burned, all the monuments, sculptures, temples that they destroyed, how much of human history was lost to that? So, and in China, they weren't even dealing with Islam. They were just dealing with civil wars upon civil wars upon civil wars over literally thousands of years. So, although, you know, Buddhism isn't, I don't know, how old is Buddhism? 3,000 years, I guess, give or take. It's older than Christianity. But anyway, so you've got the one side that's saying if you don't learn to fight, then we'll lose this great teaching for future generations. And then if you do fight, then you have the karma of murder. And it's not murder though, right? Killing and murder, we have to distinguish these things. You know, the people who are invading your country, breaking into your home, those are the murderers. Those are the ones that have the worst karma, and they will have to pay that off in hell. But after it's paid off, they get another incarnation. Now they may be incarnated as a dog or something, you know, you don't know, or a chicken or a pig or some kind of whatever their karma dictates. That's a very, very complex topic, but anyway, I think the Dalai Lama, as the kind of spiritual and political leader of a people, I think his approach was to try to minimize genocide as much as possible. Not only that, China had, you know, massive numbers and massive advanced technology. You know, they're going in with planes and bombs, tanks and machine guns against people with like swords and sticks. Primarily, I mean, you know, the Tibetans were able to get guns, but they were like shitty old guns from, you know, just they didn't. There was no chance that they could win. And Tibet is, whew, you know, like I know a lot about it. I practiced Tibetan Buddhism for 10 years. There's just a lot behind that whole story. If you want to read about the history of communist China, which I read a lot about, and I knew a lot of people when I taught English in New York City, you know, Chinese people that told me the truth about it and the history of it, their families, blah, blah, blah. It's so off the charts evil. And to think like the Jews invented this and that they went into China and they planted all the seeds that ended up killing hundreds of millions of people and brought China to a gigantic slave state that it is today, which, you know, the World Economic Forum is bragging like this is the model for the future. You know, let's you know, and look at this. Like here you've got Judeo-Christian news shaking hands with like normie Republican Christian America to like, oh, we're, you know, the next phase of infiltration. So I'm going off in directions and here and there and the other thing, but the story of Tibet is profoundly sad and harsh, especially if you know the depth and preciousness of Tibetan Buddhism, and then go farther back to look at and ask yourself, why are there swastikas all over Buddhist temples? That's something for this audience to you know, investigate. And I think I'll stop there on that little speech. Maybe it's a good time to stop the stream as well. Not because of the sad music, but just because it's late. I love you guys. Thanks for hanging with me for another one of these crazy, insane conspiracy theory nutcase broadcasts by American Zarathustra. You guys have a good one. We'll see you tomorrow and the next day and onward. Super excited about tomorrow noon Eastern time. White Student Transmission is on. We're talking about his new book. It's going to be a great show. Definitely catch the playback if you can't be there live. And we'll see you. Have yourselves a great night. See you on the internets.